Yo, what's going on, guys? Johnny GB here, bringing you guys week number 5 of the ICBA. Now, let me turn this down. It's a little loud in my headphones real quick. So we're back, week 5 of the ICBA. We are sitting right now at a nice and comfortable 4-0. We are taking on Point Blank, who is 0-4, so just the flip side of us. And I mean, he does actually have a very threatening team. This is by far one of the most annoying teams I actually had to prep for, because he has just a good mix of offensive mons and good defensive pivots. He has a Rotom, he has a Mew, very good defensive pivots, but both can be run offensively. And then he has stuff like Mienshao, a good U-turn mon, a mon that actually can still hit very hard. Choice Banded, Life Orb, has two very good abilities in Reckless and Regenerator. He has another very good defensive Spinner in Blastoise, although the advantage of Blastoise is I do have stuff for it, and it doesn't have reliable recovery, so it does get weakened down. And then he has the Garchomp Mega Mawile, which Mega Mawile can be used as a pivot because it's a fantastic defensive typing, and Garchomp's just Garchomp. It's probably one of the best Pokemon in the format. So it was very difficult for me to actually prep the right team for this, because I had a lot of different things that I thought could work, but none of them really worked well together as a team. Now, not really spoilers, just a notice ahead of time, the first half of this battle, really, I'm just going to have playing for you. We ended up having a disconnect probably about 25 turns in, so we pretty much recreated to the point where we were going to be at the disconnect. So I'm going to do my best to try and remember really exactly what was going on in the actual battle until we get to the point where we picked up where we left off. But we're going to get right into the battle here against Point Blank. If you guys haven't already, go check out his channel. I'm going to try to remember to make sure I leave that down in the description below. But you guys are going to see a Steelix versus Rotom Heat lead, which, I mean, this is, again, it's just all to get to the certain point where Mons were as close to damage as possible, because there was a couple instances of hacks actually mattering early on that are very hard to recreate in a battle. And it's probably the one downside of Wi-Fi battling, is you cannot recreate a battle to the best of your abilities. Just in general, it's hard to recreate battles, and it was when the Showdown servers were dealing with the replay issue. But here we're just going to have our Steelix go down. I did lose Steelix early on in the battle before we had the disconnect. I pretty much just wanted it to get rocks up there, although it was able to slap Blastoise with the Toxic. Here, just going to surf the Rotom, and this Greninja is actually not Choice Scarfed, it's, I believe it was Expert Belt. But the one thing about this Greninja was, when I had transferred from Pastebin to Battle Area, I did end up actually losing a lot of my EVs from my Greninja, to where it only had the speed EVs, and it did not have the actual special attack EVs that I had wanted. So that actually came back to hurt me later on in the game just a little bit. But I mean, I was still a little disappointed when I actually went back and looked at the Pastebin file, thinking I actually copy-pasted what I thought was the right set. Now, in the actual battle, we're going to have Salamence here. You guys are just going to see me sack it off to a Blastoise Ice Beam here, but I did a bunch of damage calcs at the time, and I thought Salamence could kill Rotom from about, I want to say it's like 35% is what Rotom was at during the actual battle, but I ended up going for the Supersonic Sky Strike. This is why you see me using Dragon Dance twice. it was pretty much, I lost Salamence early on, which could have been a win condition, but seeing as he didn't really have much to take care of Salamence in terms of reliable checks. I mean, he had Garchomp, but I still have that opportunity to actually save Salamence in the real battle. I end up getting a low roll. I think his Rotom lived with, I think it was like 6 or 7 HP left in the actual battle, and it was just real disappointing because he did manage to get a Will-O-Wisp off on me. So, I mean, it's just something that could have changed the outcome of the battle. I didn't want to Dragon Dance to outspeed the rest of his team. It was, I can go for my Z move now. I know it resisted, but going off basically what the damage calc said, I had a very good chance to end up killing it, and I ended up getting a very low roll on the Rotom. So it just leads to me sacking off my Salamence, because there's not much I can do with a Burn Salamence versus a Mienshao and a Garchomp that both outspeed my team. So this really just impacted how I had to play the rest of the game, because I knew Mienshao could be an issue if it was potentially Choice Scarfed. So I needed to see what the item was on the Mienshao. He never really revealed what it was. I never thought if it was Choice Banded, Scarfed, really, or anything. So here we have just Entei versus Garchomp. This actually did happen in the battle, and at one point I had a Flame Charge Entei set up mid-game, and it managed to actually pick off his Blastoise. So I did have a +2 speed Entei that actually could have cleaned up on the rest of his team, depending on damage on certain Pokemon and what he actually went out to later on in the game. That's the important thing here, is the time that I actually did have the Entei set up, it was a very close time in the battle that we had to really figure out what to recreate, because depending on the situation, the battle could have been a little bit easier in terms of me being able to win, whether he went Garchomp, went Mew. I mean, you guys will get to that point here where I do have a +2 speed Entei versus a Mew. That is because it was the Pokemon that he was actually going to switch into to my Entei, so we recreated to the point where I do have the +2 Entei versus the Mew, which, I mean, it should be in like 4 or 5 turns, really, because this is a longer battle. This is one of the longer battles I played, and I was really worried about this battle. Actually, going into the timeline, I gotta get coffee here. There's not much I can say about these turns at this point right now. It's just coming down to him healing and him weakening Pokemon, and me weakening Pokemon to where we could stop recreating and get to the point where we actually finish the battle. Now, another mistake I made when genning is not actually having the Snow Warning Ninetales, which impacts a lot because I essentially had a wasted move slot with Aurora Veil. I noticed it very early on once I actually sent in my Ninetales that this is going to be a very bad battle, but it actually turned out to be a very close, very good battle. So this is where we're finally going to get to the point of the battle where I can explain to you guys what plays I made, why I did them, and where I was actually going to go from here, because we're halfway through recreating the battle, and the recreation was actually much quite a few turns less than us actually playing through and trying to recreate the actual battle. I mean, we're 23 turns into this, so here we're finally back to where we're going to be. He brings in a full defensive Mew versus my +2 speed Entei. I do get the burn on the Mew, which is actually unfortunate because I believe I have Toxic on my Zapdos sitting in the back. but all he can do is Aura Sphere, and I do actually have a good amount of bulk onto my Entei, so I know he's not going to really be able to kill me with the Aura Spheres, but I know he will try to roost up, and what I should have done actually in the battle is really just pressure stall his Mew, because I do have Flare Blitz, I do have other moves, so I really didn't have it think to me that I can just pressure stall him out of Aura Spheres, out of Ice Beams, to where later in the game this Mew could not be as much of an issue as it is right now. It wouldn't have as many Roost, it wouldn't have as many Aura Spheres, it wouldn't have as many Ice Beams. I don't think he showed actually a third move on this Mew so far. I mean, he's shown Roost, he's shown Aura Sphere, he does have Ice Beam, but here I just withdraw Entei. I did not want to waste my Sacred Fires. I felt like I needed them for later on in the game, so I thought this was a good opportunity for me to go to my Greninja and actually end up scaring this Mew out. But instead of scaring it out, I have U-turn on this Greninja, and on my build I actually had like 140 attack EVs, which should put it in range of U-turn and then Dark Pulse. But the damage output was a little bit lower than I thought it was, so it was at this point in the battle that I had questions about my Greninja. I was like, the U-turn should put this in range of Dark Pulse. It's not in range of my Dark Pulse, and I actually looked at my damage calc at the set I imported, and I saw that it was missing the actual EVs. But again, I have the dual pressure going with the Zapdos and the Entei, so it's something that at the time I didn't think of, but me recording it post-game, I'm like, I had double pressure going on. I could have had him waste his actual moves, but the Zapdos actually had U-turn, so that way Garchomp didn't get a free switch in. And the U-turn's actually good because it does hit the Mew for super effective. It does more than Volt Switch would have. So this does allow me to go into my Greninja, and again, I just click U-turn. He doesn't have rocks on my side of the field, so I can come in for free essentially the entire time. And just pretty much just have that U-turn initiative, just switching back and forth between Pokemon. So he's actually going to withdraw his Mew here, and he's going to go out to his Mawile, which at this point means my Entei is going to come in, and it's going to dent something on his team, barring me hitting the Sacred Fire. There's not much he has to switch into Entei. Yes, Mew can, but it actually is 2-code from that little bit of U-turn damage that Zapdos did. It allowed it to be 2-code by the Sacred Fire plus 1 burn damage. So here he's going to Mega Evolve into the Mega Mawile, and I believe he's just going to go straight for the Sucker Punch. No reason not to, just to deal a good amount of damage to my Entei. He does take care of that, brings me down to 43 health. But Mega Mawile will end up dying to the Sacred Fire, so that's one of the threats on his team gone. Here he's going to go to Kimono. Now, thought process was, I can just go for extreme speed and weaken it, because I wasn't thinking Regenerator. Now, he goes for Stone Edge, which, I mean, beyond safe play. I have 3 things weak to Ice at this point. There's not much that he has for me. Now, this is again a situation I was really worried, because I could Dark Pulse predicting Mew to come in, but instead he actually just goes to the Garchomp. I just click U-turn. Now, I wasn't going to go out, make a risky play, click Ice Beam, get the momentum going versus that Mienshao, because I was still a little uncertain on what the actual set for that Mienshao was. I wasn't sure. And actually, looking back on it, I actually am Scarf Greninja for this week. Just based, it's been a couple weeks since I played the game. But here, he's going to go Mew. Now, I thought, you know what? I can stay in here because he doesn't have a Moonblast resist. And I'm actually okay with that damage, honestly. If I can get special attack drops, I'm even more happy with that damage output, seeing as I can waste his roosts, I can waste his attacks, And that's pretty much what I was going for. If I get a special attack drop, great. If I get a crit, it's unfortunate, but it's what I was looking for out of it. But Ninetales is doing what I need it to do. I knew I needed the roosts gone for Greninja to do anything. If Mew still had roosts, Greninja, Zapdos would not able to deal with the Mew's attacks just being Aura Sphere and Ice Beam, I think is all that he had. So without him really predicting what was coming in, or predicting whether I was going for U-turn Dark Pulse, I could efficiently waste his moves, and that was what my thought was this late in the game. But instead of having my Ninetales die, I go out to my Greninja here on the Roost. That way I can actually just U-turn, and again, just force him into wasting another Roost. I can U-turn, deal about 40%, go into my Zapdos, and once Zapdos comes in, he now loses another 2 PP onto his Aura Sphere. So I thought I was actually in a very good position here because I have Scarf Greninja. I can take out the Mienshao later on in the game. I'm not too worried about it. And I have Alolan Ninetales, which can take out the Mienshao as well if he's not Choice Scarfed. So I felt like I was in a very good position at this point, and something I should have actually done when I was taking on the Mega Mawile was I should have Flame... in hindsight, actually, Flame Charge doesn't really work for me because it doesn't set me up for a win. But here he's actually going to go into Garchomp as I just click U-turn, which is actually very good. If I clicked HP Ice, I still have Zapdos in a little bit higher HP to take on. I do not have Roost on this Zapdos. No, I do not have Roost, which is very important to know. If I had Roost, this battle probably would have ended a lot sooner due to PP stalling the Mew, and that's something in hindsight I'm very upset that I didn't bring a Zapdos with recovery. Strange, I know. But here, I just clicked Surf because I was like, I have to lock myself into a move here. Because Mienshao comes in and can try to scare me out. But here I was worried because I did not know if my Greninja actually killed. I had no EVs on this Greninja, so I was very unsure if it actually killed. So I wasn't taking the risk of Greninja dying due to a bad play. And then, let's rub some salt in my poor genning abilities. The Zapdos didn't have any defense EVs. I had max HP but did not have any HP or defense EVs, which means if I had them, that high jump kick didn't 2-hit KO, and I got a free discharge off. So I was just angry at myself, really, for me genning these mons poorly. That was my fault on that. I can't fault point for that. I go into Greninja here. I click Surf. That's pretty much the only thing I can do to narrow down differential here is just click Surf. And it does take out the Mienshao, in fact. So I think he was a naive nature, potentially, because just your regular Jolly nature, it did not kill. So at this point, I need a crit of some sort to really defeat the Mew, and I'm not going to end up getting that. He's just going to be able to Roost stall me for these next few turns, and essentially just pick up the KO. Now, I'm going to take the 1-0 loss. I don't deserve to win that battle. I had a Zapdos with no defense EVs. I had a Greninja with no special attack or attack EVs. I had a Ninetales with the wrong ability. That's 3 mons I messed up. All user error, no computer error. As much as I can say, hey, the paste bin sets didn't transfer over to battle area, it's my job to actually go through and see that, hey, you messed something up, you gotta fix it. So that's all on me, nothing against point there. Does it affect the outcome of the battle? Oh, yes. I mean, it affects the battle 100%, but that's all hindsight stuff. I can't go back regen my team, play him again with the proper EVs. No. There's no reason for me to bring my mistake as a reason for him to outplay me late in the game, and that's exactly what he did. Early game, I felt like I had the momentum once I got that +2 speed Entei, and then when you actually see the damage Entei was doing, and I was adamant, I had extreme speed, so I was an adamant Entei, and it just wasn't able to pick up the KO on that Mew. So all in all, I mean, a 1-0 loss. I'm a little disappointed, but again, it's a loss that, hey, I fully deserved this loss. I did not prep well. My ideas were good, but my actual execution in terms of prep was not there, simply because I could not gen my team properly. So that's all on me. Greninja's able to actually take a few hits, so Mew doesn't have full special attack, and it's actually not super effective. So this was pretty much my last saving grace. If I had some 3 times strength critical hit, that was pretty much the only way Greninja was picking up a kill on the Mew, and it is not, and Mew will be able to pick up a kill, and we do fall 1-0 to the Portage Herdiers. So we fall back to 4-1, which, I mean, is okay. I mean, we're still atop our division at 4-1. Point does pick up his first win. He actually gets a bunch of new transactions. He might have a video on that. But as far as we go, it's just one loss. I wasn't expecting a perfect season so far, so the main goal is to really just rebound next week. We're taking on the Great Lake Greninjas. Now, I do apologize, guys, for the commentary on this video. I mean, there's not much I can do as far as my energy or really how to explain that first half of the battle. So if you guys watched it through me explaining some of the points from the recreation, kudos to you. But if you guys just tuned in for the last results of the battle, I mean, that's fine as well. If you guys are tuning in, actually, I do not want a mock mode. I actually did not know that was there. I just want to flip it. So if you guys just skip through, it was a 1-0 loss, just for you guys to see. But yeah, with all that being said, guys, I will come back next week. Much better commentary. I already have the layout and all that stuff worked out. The fact of the matter is, I just have to go edit everything, so you guys will see more improved stuff from me next week with the battle layouts that I had for the PMC and such. But if you guys enjoyed it, go ahead and leave a like down on the video, comment your guys' support, and subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon videos. With all that being said, guys, I'm Johnny GB, and I'm out.